Hi there, business owners, directors, and marketeers. My guest in today's show is Ryan Carson. He is the CEO and founder of Treehouse, an online school that taught software engineering to over 850,000 people. He's a leader and champion of self-directed learning, inspiring others to take the helm of their own education. In addition, he's also an advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion within the tech industry, specializing in helping companies like Verizon, Nike, Adobe, MailChimp, and many more invest in their local communities, building diverse teams, and creating generational wealth for families who have been locked out of tech. So with that, Ryan, it's great to have you on the show today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me. We're both navigating this work from home reality during the pandemic, so it's good to be on the show and have a chit chat from my home office with a ping pong table behind me. So,
Look, your office looks way more professional than my home office. I'm basically sitting in my bed, but luckily no one can see it right now.
I love it. Great.
Good. Basically, to kick it off, can you tell us a little bit more about Treehouse? What is it all about?
So Treehouse is an online school for beginners that want to learn how to code or how to design. We teach everyone ages from kids to 100 years old. We've been doing it for a decade, and we've taught hundreds of thousands of people now. And we're really, really good at teaching beginners, and we use video to do that. It's all online, and you can get started for as little as $25 a month up to $200 a month for a more guided project-based curriculum. So we're really passionate about empowering people.
Great. I mean, I would assume under the current circumstances, you might have a lot of people actually leveraging your platform at the moment.
We do. Yeah, there's a lot of folks who are being forced to, learn online now, whether they want to or not. They're being forced to work from home, whether they want to or not, and they want to be proactive about reskilling or improving their skills. A lot of people tragically have been, put out of work or their future has been made unsure, and we are proud to be helping a lot of those people get proactive again. And it's been a lot of fun to do that.
Great, great. I mean, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about whom you would target with your offering, like who is benefiting most from what you offer at Treehouse.
Well, I started the school a long time ago because I got a computer science degree from a university. So I went the traditional path, and then I got a job, and then just realized I didn't actually need that formal university education. It was really more of a trade skill. And I know you're German, and you can probably relate to the apprentice path very well, or you're very familiar with a lot of Europeans in general, understand apprenticeship, and a lot of folks from the UK kind of assume you can get a job without needing a university degree. But in America, we seem to have it backwards, that, you need a university degree to get a good job. And I just observed that wasn't. And I thought there's got to be a better way to get the skills you need for an affordable price in a more accessible way. So we started Treehouse as an online school to teach how to code. And thankfully it worked. It turns out we're in a world now where you can get skills, get a job without needing to go, $35,000 in debt with a college degree. And we're not bashing colleges. If you can afford that without debt, great. But a lot of people can't these days. So that's what we do.
Great. Maybe one short question about that. And I think that's not only a question a European would have at this stage, is how are companies actually accepting the education people get from Treehouse? Is it like, okay.
It's interesting, it's a mix. So we have a range of products. We have a $25 a month product, totally self-guided online. We don't directly connect people with jobs. It's up to you to go and look for a job. Then we have our $200 a month product, which is the tech degree, which is a lot more guided program. There's projects that are graded. You get a chat room where you can chat live with other students in our team. we also don't connect you directly to a job after that. It's still up to you to work hard to do that. And then we have our apprenticeship program, which is actually funded by companies, and they directly hire people out of the program. You know, the majority of our students, hundreds of thousands of them, are just going through our self-directed courses and finding work. Now, it's interesting because I would say in the past, a lot of employers expected you to have a college degree and they would filter you out if you did not. But we're moving to a world where it's really about what you can do and what you have done versus your degree. So I would say it's a mix. You know, you've got some old-fashioned companies that require you to have college degrees, and some cutting-edge ones that understand that's just not how the world works anymore.
Absolutely.
And we just see a lot of tweets from people saying, I got a job, you know, because I started learning on Treehouse, you know, a year ago. And we don't promise anybody that, but that's irresponsible. But we've seen that happen thousands of times.
Yeah, I think as a German, I can relate to that. In Germany, we are expected to have a bachelor and a master's degree. In Ireland, where I'm currently located, a bachelor degree might be sufficient to get a job.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So maybe shifting the focus a little bit. Obviously, when you started Treehouse, and by now there's a lot of competition on the market, how did you start in acquiring people? Basically, starting a course at Treehouse. What were like the channels that you used from a marketing standpoint?
So we started as an in-person training company. So the very first idea I had was let's do one-day workshops in person in London. I was actually living in England at the time. And we taught in person, and we did that for years. And then in 2010, we decided to, you know, let's try doing this online. So what we did is we leveraged our community and our customers that we had built up over years by doing in-person events, and then we launched the business to them. That was one strategy. The second strategy was we built a website, and this is good old-fashioned content marketing. So we built a website called thinkvitamin.com, and it was for web designers and web developers. And the idea was, you know, let's give away valuable content to attract an audience. And then once we have that audience, then let's upsell them to our paid offering. And so the very first version of Treehouse was actually called Think Vitamin Membership. And that launch strategy worked very well. We bootstrapped, and we became profitable very quickly. And only then did we go and raise venture capital after we were profitable. But we haven't actually raised venture capital in 7 years now. We are a sustainable long-term company now.
That's great, especially under the current circumstances, I would say. How does it change now? Obviously, now the company matured. You grew the amount of courses, a number of courses significantly. How do you leverage your website at the moment in terms of client generation? Is there?
So we do. We have a couple primary channels. We have organic SEO traffic. And because we've been around for a decade, we have strong SEO ranking, which is great. We also continue to invest in content through our blog. We also have a lot of owned channels, and we have all of our social channels, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We focus heavily on those. We're doing a lot of live coding sessions and design sessions on YouTube and Twitter now. And we're really aggressive about content marketing. You know, a good friend of mine is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he launched this whole idea of I think he calls it jab, 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 right hook. This idea that you give, and then you ask, you know, and we live in a world where that's the way marketing works now. So we give away a lot of good, valuable content, and then we say, you know what, if you want to learn, sign up. And you know, we have a lot of competitors, and we've not only survived but thrived because I think we've always focused on quality, you know, versus breadth. We are not Udemy that has, you know, thousands, if not millions of minutes of courses. We have less than that, but it's very high quality. It's very opinionated, you know, it's very linear. You start here and then you take the next course and then you take the next course. We have full-time in-house teachers. We do video versus written instruction because it's easier to understand. We've really tripled down on quality. So that's
Gotcha.
been our primary strength versus trying to do everything for everybody.
No, I think that makes absolute sense and helps you compete in the market.
Yep.
So I guess that's kind of like as well how you could describe your current marketing strategy, right? So give, and then
Ask.
potentially convert.
Yep, exactly.
Got you. Great. Um, what challenges, though, do you face with the current approach? Where do you think you could improve? Obviously, some of the marketers that are listening might wonder, great, content strategy takes a while to build.
It does.
How, what challenges or roadblocks would you see for someone who maybe does not have the amount of content, or even in your specific case, what challenges do you still have?
Yeah, I think the answer is there is no shortcut, no matter where you're at. And so the brutal truth is, it does take time, and there's no other way. To build a good content strategy, you have to do the work, and it takes time. And that's just the reality of it. So I think, though, it's easier than ever, though. I mean, when we launched, there was literally no social media. Facebook was barely alive, and there was, Twitter was very primitive, but there wasn't Instagram. And I think now you have this strategy where you can create a pillar piece of content, a core piece of content, and then you can break it up into micro content and post it across all of your platforms and engage across all your platforms. And it's easier than ever. So it's still hard, but it's easier. So the other challenge we have is, some of our competitors are extremely well funded. We have competitors that have raised $150 million or more, compared to our 13 million. So we've raised 1/10 of the amount of money, but actually it's our strength because we have to be thoughtful. We have to be focused about our strategy. We can't afford to just burn cash. But it's interesting because it's ended up being our strength. We're good at what we do. We're very focused, and our student base is growing because of that.
Mhm. But I would assume in terms of like paid advertisement, you're probably spending significant less, which is the challenge compared to your competitors that have
We
deeper
are.
pockets.
Yeah, they can just afford to bid higher on more competitive terms, and we just have to figure out how to navigate around that. But it comes down to unit economics. In the end, we're all running businesses that need to be profitable in order to serve our students and our customers. And burning cash long term just isn't a business model. And we're starting to see that. You're seeing the Ubers and the Lyfts and the WeWorks, just fall because there isn't any profit there, and therefore they can't sustain themselves. So I would encourage everyone listening, try to ignore all of the hype around fast growth companies and venture funding companies, and actually just focus on what you're doing, focus on being sustainable and on growing at a healthy pace, not a rocket ship pace. And as long as you enjoy what you're doing, it's a better path.
Great. No, that's really good insight. I guess in terms of the marketing funnel at Treehouse, that's something we also focus on. So we're always curious to hear practical examples from our guests. You already touched on a little bit on that. So your marketing funnel, as I understand so far, is you have your organic content, blogs, YouTube, and several other channels, and guiding them to the website. On the website, then basically trying to convert them via the lead forms that you have.
Yep.
Is that more or less the
That's the basic strategy. We use a tool called Unbounce for our landing pages, which is effective for us. We used to have our landing pages in-app, which meant the developers created them and deployed them, and it was just too hard to iterate quickly. So the marketing team uses Unbounce now, and every day we look at conversion, we look at page views, and we look at free trials, and we talk about it every day. We use OKRs, or objective and key results, to measure these things. We're highly numbers focused, and we're very disciplined on that. So I would encourage people to know your numbers every day, and figure out whether they're red, green, or yellow.
Mhm. As you mentioned a few of those metrics, is there like maybe a top three of metrics that you can recommend people to start monitoring and tracking over time?
So if we're talking about recurring revenue businesses, then I would say, first of all, you have to look at your page views, your conversion rate, and that's you can kind of lump those together. The second is your first month retention, which is how many people are converting from their first month to their second month. And then your third would be your NPS, so your net promoter score. You have to measure, how happy are people with your products. I think if you focus on those high level things, that'll be a good start. It's easy to get overwhelmed with thousands of numbers. I would encourage you to pick three and focus on them and make them better. And then you can expand from there.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you basically mentioned unbounce. Are there any other tools you could potentially recommend? Maybe also like, where do you get the most bang for your money?
You bet. You really need a marketing platform, and two of the leaders are HubSpot and MailChimp. We're big fans of both. There's monolithic tools that are becoming outdated, like Eloqua. I would not recommend that. We've had just a hell of a time with Eloqua. It's very hard to use, very expensive. So we're moving to MailChimp or HubSpot. So marketing automation and a marketing platform is really key. And you can sign up for basically free and then scale with either MailChimp or HubSpot. So I would start there. And then they integrate with tools like Unbounce. So you can do a lot these days. The tooling is so good. It's much easier. But just the key is, it can be overwhelming. So just start simple, start with a few numbers and then iterate, right? Versus trying to have everything perfect and understand everything from the beginning.
Maybe to follow up on that, do you offer courses on those kind
marketing
of tools as well?
we don't. We've considered launching marketing courses, but we don't. So I think it would be helpful, actually.
That would have been the perfect sales pitch at this stage.
Yeah, I know. Sign up right now.
Okay, no, I guess HubSpot obviously is also very popular in Europe, obviously in the US, and MailChimp, similar situation. Both very solid tools, and as you said, free to start, and then very scalable.
One thing I should point out, when I talk about marketing automation, the thing that you need to eventually get to is when you capture someone's email, what do you do with it? And it's important to have a strategy, and put them on a marketing automation where you're trying to develop a relationship with them. You're trying to offer value. It's again, the give, ask. But if you don't have a coherent strategy on that, you've collected someone's email and it doesn't offer value to you or them. HubSpot and MailChimp allow you to do those things.
I mean, maybe on that, you said trying to offer value with every step of the process. I understand how you do this with your content, but how do you actually do it then with the email? So as soon as someone showed interest in the courses, how do you add additional value with like the stripped campaigns, with MailChimp, for example?
Well, you want to think about, what did this person sign up for this email? How can I help them? What are they trying to do? And so if they've ended up on a landing page for a specific course, say it's on front end web development for us, we may have the first email be about, these are a couple important things that you need, that you can learn, and here they are, versus saying sign up for a course to learn them. The idea is actually just give them some value right away, and you start building up goodwill. So whatever it is you do, try to take your expertise and then give away some of it. And don't make it a trick where you're saying, actually, to get the value, you have to sign up. Try to give away real value for a little while, and then you can ask.
Okay, no, that makes absolute sense. I guess we're slowly getting towards the end of today's show.
Mm,
I think it was very valuable what you shared so far with us. So to basically go to the end, one question I always like to ask as well: what advice would you give yourself if you would restart Treehouse today?
mm.
Is there anything you would say, let's switch it up completely, or you like the
Yeah.
path that you had?
There's a lot of things that I've learned. I think one that's been very valuable is a book called Speed of Trust.
Mhm.
I think if you're building a company with employees, if you're a solopreneur, it's a bit different. But if you're trying to build a team, I would recommend a book called Speed of Trust. Building trust with your team unlocks everything. It allows you to move, 3x faster on everything. And I wish I would have learned that skill earlier. Now we've built that skill at Treehouse, and we have a very strong, healthy culture. So that's one thing I would do differently.
Great. Okay. So nice book recommendation there as well. And well, what's one thing we all should remember about Treehouse?
I think learning how to code and how to design is going to be an essential part of every job, whether you're a developer or not. I think
Mhm.
understanding basic tech skills is going to help everyone's career, and I think it's hard to learn those things. So I would say that's what we specialize in, helping people who are never designed to get their head around. How does this work? To my tool. Um, so I just would encourage everyone to give us a try. We have a 7-day free trial, so you don't even have to pay to try it, and give it a whirl. I think you'll like it.
Perfect. Ryan, with that, I say thank you very much for your time today and for the insights. It was good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Take care.